Hello everybody, it's Sara. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about the top 5 books that I would love to read this spring. Realistically speaking, is it spring already in Canada? Absolutely not. There is still so much snow outside on the ground, but I'm trying to manifest it. I'm trying to bring the spring energy so that Mother Nature will get the message and make it all melt away. Will it happen? I don't think so, but you know, I'm still going to try. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about the top 5 books that I would love to read in the next couple of months. I'm very excited about all of the titles that I've chose for this video, so without any further ado, let's dive into this. The first book that I want to talk about might actually be a little more appropriate for fall, for, you know, a more gloomy time of the year, and that book is Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. This is the second book into the These Violent Delights duology by this author. I'm sure you've heard all about it. It's very popular here on BookTube, and I read the first book, These Violent Delights, last year and really enjoyed it, so I really wanted to read the second one. This is basically a historical fiction fantasy set in Shanghai in the 20s, and we follow these two main characters, Roma and Juliet, who are the heirs of two different gangsters' families that have been fighting a war in the city for many years. This duology is kind of a retelling of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, with these two star-crossed lovers, and they have a lot of tension from things that happened in their lives in the past, and so we follow them as they are basically forced to work together to try to defeat a monster that is roaming the city and killing everybody, basically. And the first book ended on quite a bang, quite a cliffhanger, so I'm very excited to see how this duology is concluded. I've heard great things about this second book. Apparently it will destroy all of my emotions, which I'm always here for. I got really attached to some of the side characters, less so the main two characters, but I still really enjoyed those two protagonists. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens to everybody in this second book, and I feel like it's definitely going to be a wild ride. So yeah, I'm very excited to dive into this one. Then the second book that I want to talk about in today's video is none other than our pick for the Tea Leaves Book Club for the months of March and April, and that book is Still Life by Sarah Winman, which is a historical fiction novel about World War II, and from what I know, it is set in Italy, in Tuscany, and we follow these two main characters who are stuck in a cellar together. One of them is this woman who works for an art museum, and then the other character is a soldier, and basically we see how the fact that they're stuck together forced them to get to learn about one another, and it's basically about their friendship and also their life stories. I'm not like 100% sure of what this book is exactly going to be about, as you can maybe tell from the way that I'm describing it, but I'm very excited to go into this a little bit blind and to discover for myself. I also feel like this one is going to be talking about art and what makes us human and what binds us to one another, so that's definitely very interesting to me. I love when these themes are explored in books, so I feel like I'm really going to enjoy this one. As always, if you would love to join us to read this book, we would be so glad to have you over at the Tea Leaves Book Club, so be sure to read it with us if you're interested, and then we will obviously have the live show for this one around the end of April or the beginning of May. Then the next book that I have on my spring TBR is a non-fiction book that I've been meaning to read for a while, and that book is The Inconvenient Indian by Thomas King, and I feel like the rest of the title explains what this book is about perfectly. It says, a curious account of native people in North America. So this basically talks about indigenous people's history in the Canada and in the US, mainly in Canada if I'm not mistaken, because Thomas King is a Canadian author. On the back it says that this is a fascinating, often hilarious, always devastatingly, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, truthful. The Inconvenient Indian is destined I am really messing up my words here. Bear with me. To become a classic of historical narrative. For those who wish to better understand native peoples, it is a must-read. For those who don't wish to understand, it is even more so. I've heard so many good things about Thomas King as a writer. I've heard that his writing is always very snarky, very humoristic, and he really doesn't shy away from telling the truth up front, which I'm really looking forward to. And yeah, I have just heard so many people talking about this book and raving about it, so I can't wait to dive into this. I feel like I've said this like 10 times in this video already, but yeah, I'm excited. Can you tell? Then the next next book that I want to talk about, I am so excited to read and I cannot wait for it to come out because it is not out yet, and that book is The Romantic Agenda by Claire Kahn. This is a romance novel that centers an ace character, and I didn't need to know more about this book to know that I really wanted to read it, so I actually did not really read the synopsis, so I can't really tell you what this is about other than the fact that it's a romance and there's an ace character, and I think that there is some fake dating involved. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like maybe like 50% sure that there is fake dating in this book, which is also very exciting. I have read Claire Kahn's other book, Let's Talk About Love, that is also about asexuality, and I love that book so much. It is like a YA contemporary romance. It's very, very sweet. So I'm so excited to read this one. I feel like this is going to become a new favorite. I have such high hopes for it. I feel like it's just going to be tons of fun, and it's probably going to be very sweet, and it's probably gonna make me like laugh out loud and swoon a little bit, and I'm very, very excited about that. But to be honest, I'm just so pumped that we're getting more romance books centering ace characters because we definitely need them. So yeah, I really cannot wait for this book. I really hope I love it, but I have a good feeling that I'm probably going to. And then finally, the last book that I want to talk about in today's video, which is kind of ironic considering that I'm probably going to start with this one out of all of these, is The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reid. This was a gift from my very good friend Mary from Mary Among Stories. Mary, thank you once again so much for this one. I cannot wait to dive into it. And the main reason why I'm saying that like I think I'm going to read this one first is because I feel like this one has a kind of like wintry vibe a little bit, so I want to read it before the entirety of the snow melts, even though I've said that I want Mother Nature to like hurry up with the melting. Just give me time to finish this book and then you can do your thing. But basically I don't know too much about this one besides the fact that it is inspired by Hungarian history and Jewish mythology, and it follows a young pagan woman with hidden powers and a one-eyed captain of the woodsman as they form an unlikely alliance to thwart a tyrant. I don't want to know more than that because I think that already sounds amazing and I want to be surprised by this book. And I've also seen so many people on Twitter raving about the romance in this, so I'm also very excited about this because romance in fantasy just hits different. There's always so much angst and so many stakes, and yeah, I also hear that this book is very beautifully written and that the plot is riveting. I've been reading so much more fantasy lately, which makes me incredibly happy, and this one has been on my radar for a little while, so yeah, very pumped about this one too. But there we are. This is my very small yet very exciting spring TBR. Let me know down below what are the books that you are planning to read in the next couple of months. I hope that you really enjoyed this one. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!